welcome to another exciting edition of Skill for You with Patience, the platform where we bring you all the needed information on skill acquisition, vocational training, and everything along that line. My name is Patience. It's always a delight to be here. Today's edition is a special one, and that's because we'll be beaming our spotlight on a particular government agency in Lagos State that is doing so much in terms of helping the residents of Lagos State who are interested in acquiring a skill. It is called the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, LSETF. Have you heard about it? Well, if not, this is the perfect opportunity, to know more about this arm of government and this particular uh, trust fund and what they've been doing so far. Meanwhile, let me quickly give us a backdrop. All right. So the LSETF was established by the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund Law of 2016, and their primary assignment is to provide financial support for residents of Lagos State, for job or wealth creation or employment, everything along that line. And they've been in existence ever since, and they've been doing so well. So I have people from them on the show today, and they'll be letting us know what they've been doing so far, what they're currently doing, and also what the future holds. It's a pleasure to welcome the Director of Programs and Coordination from the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, Oyindamola Egbeyemi. Hi, Oyin.
Hello, Patience. It's lovely to be here.
Lovely to have you here on the show. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. Let's get to the business of the day. So the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, like I mentioned, was brought into existence by a law. All right. So that means every activity, under the trust fund has to be legal. All right. So, but maybe you are in a better position to let us all know why that was even required in the first place.
Okay, thank you very much. That's a very good question. Yes, indeed, the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund is founded by law. The 2016 2016 Lagos State Employment Trust Fund law. And the premise of this is to ensure that we are being effective in job and wealth creation for Lagosians. I must mention that LSETF is under the Ministry of Wealth Creation and Employment. So it goes without saying that we have very similar mandates, but we are always working in alignment on our programs and our plans. It is very important that we recognize that we're in a very, very unique position at Lagos State because we're densely populated, we have a youthful population, we have a lot of potential. And there's a lot of activities, initiatives that we are implementing at LSETF to ensure that we're harnessing the full potential of people who are employable. Now, you mentioned that we started with financial interventions. Very, very important to note that is our legacy program.
Okay.
Our loan program is our legacy program. We started off with supporting small business owners with MSME loans, so micro, small, medium enterprise loans from 50,000 naira up until 5 million naira, 9% annual interest rate, no collateral. You just have to have your Lagos State Residents Association ID. LASRA. You need to have your tax ID. You don't necessarily need to be paying taxes, but we need to be sure that you would go into the taxation pool.
Okay.
And it's a long-term initiative because we expect that every business owner, at some point when you get formalized, you start to pay taxes and give back to the pool from which you get the loan from. So that is kind of like the initiative around it. The requirements are basic, and I want to really place emphasis on the no collateral required because if you go to commercial banks and some other financial institutions, that is what is required. And the interest rate is something that you cannot get anywhere else. So anyone who has a small business, come to LSETF for a loan. But notwithstanding that, we also realized as we grew, we evolved, and even by law, there are certain other programs that we needed to establish because there's one entrepreneurship route that needs to be supported through access to finance and also business support, which we do, which is essentially helping people with the skills, human resources, financial management, bookkeeping, taxation, understanding, legal advisory to make sure that your business is strong. But there's also an entrepreneurship route, which is
We'll
essentially why
get
we're
into
here
that.
today.
Yeah, we'll
We'll
get
get
into that
into
in a
today.
bit.
But
Yeah.
it's like the whole spectrum for
Wow.
employment, entrepreneurship, because those are the two key pathways that we've identified to make people employable and create wealth for the entire state.
So essentially, the
Yeah.
trust fund actually, is already prepared to take you from start to finish.
Actually, we
in terms
are.
of job creation, employability, and all of that. All right,
Yeah.
we'll come back to the entrepreneurial
Yeah.
very quickly. We both know that largely the economy in Lagos State is driven, to a large extent by the informal sector.
Yes.
And I'm guessing that is why you are towing that line of becoming interested in vocational training and all of that. Tell us about that, the whole entrepreneurial arm of the LSETF, how has that been doing? And would you say it has actually helped in reducing unemployment, especially among the
Okay.
youths?
So to be very honest, this is what we're talking about on our way here.
Okay.
Yeah, Matthew and I. Yes, it's a peculiar situation in Lagos, and I think many mega cities, but Lagos has a peculiarity in the sense of our demographics because we have many young people. We also have many women. We have many young families and many people who, like Matthew has said, are busy, but they may not necessarily have the right tools, resources to become more effective. So I always say that sometimes we find ourselves being busy, but are we busy being productive? What does productive work like? And how are we making sure that we're harnessing all the resources available for us to enhance that productivity? Because one thing that we always say when we go out to talk to people is, do you want to continue to work for your business or do you want your business to work for you? So it's having that mindset of sustainability that we go in with as LSETF. Yes, we're providing you with this financial support, but are you sure that every single naira and kobo you're spending on your business is going a long way? How are you tracking these things? So I think this is where I'll bring in our business support program.
Okay.
Because that was actually the premise of business support. It is the thing of, yes, you have access to finance. Where business support started with was, let's even support people with fine tuning their loan applications.
Okay.
Let's start from there because we have a certain standard. We found that people were not necessarily aware of what that standard is. And if we're saying that small, medium sized businesses make up about 80% of the economy in Lagos, that's like a pot of gold, I will say, for anyone who's looking properly. How can we help small businesses learn the basics? Not everybody has been trained or has the opportunity to have gone to school. Some people are coming out of retirement, for instance. How can we give them free resources in terms of the education around financial literacy, around legal advisory, around human resources, and even tech? Because in this day and age, and with the advent of, COVID-19 and this technological wave that we're going through, people need to be aware that Lagos is inevitably part of all these waves of transformation, and we need to catch the wave and surf it effectively. Otherwise, we'll be overwhelmed by like a tsunami effect. Things will be happening with us having control over it. How can we stay ahead? So we do have business supports. We have these sessions that we organize on a monthly basis. Right now, we have an MSME bootcamp that is ongoing at different locations in Lagos State, as well as online sessions. We also have a research and policy department whereby we take the data, we take the macroeconomic data, like what Matthew has been talking about. We look at our programs. We try to align where we need to intervene as LSETF. What kind of programs do we need to design? Are our programs still relevant? How can we change things? How can we tweak things so that when anybody comes through our system, and I'll call it like an education system at LSETF, you're getting everything you need as a tool or resource to make your business better. And we do have many beneficiaries who have gone through multiple programs. There's sometimes that I'll go in, maybe just going for events or activities. Our ES was at a radio station yesterday, and she just randomly met someone who said, "Oh, I benefited from your workspace vouchers a few years ago, and I have multiplied my revenue tenfold since." So those are the stories we like to hear. Another beneficiary might come in as an applicant or a beneficiary of our lowest cadre of loan programs. But because they were able to go through our business support program, we support people with getting their CAC.
Okay. Registration,
The
business
business
registration.
registration.
Okay.
So they may have started as, I've just learned a skill through our employability program. And then I'm going into the MES loan, the micro enterprise startup loan, because I'm just starting a business. I haven't formalized things yet. But then I graduate maybe like 2 years later into a small medium enterprise where I can collect up to 5 million naira. While I'm doing that, I'm going through, like I said, the business registration, the master classes, which are free, by the way.
Wow.
Yes,
Good to
all
know.
free.
Wow.
By the time I'm 10 years into my business, LSETF is 9 years old for now, but what I'm trying to say is that by the time I'm about, let's say 6 years because of awareness, by the time I'm about 6 years into my business, I would have been able to go back and see that actually this organization has been able to help me to grow from stage to stage. And we have many of these success stories. We're just trying to put them
Interesting.
together.
Wow. But then I
Yeah.
know this employability program of the LSETF, you can't do it alone, which is why you do it in partnership,
Yep.
with groups such as the Honey Trade Academy. I'm happy to know, so beyond the trading, beyond all of that, you still pick an interest in, how they're
Yeah.
actually doing with the skills they've acquired. And if they need some sort of help,
Yeah.
there's some sort of intervention.
Yeah.
All right. So, people will be wondering, how do I benefit from all this? But I'll let you answer that when we come back. All right. We're still talking about the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, all right, which is available, for residents of Lagos State. Okay. So, but we need to take a very quick break at this juncture. When we come back, we'll be talking about how you, as a Lagos State resident, can actually be a beneficiary of this after the break. Do you know that learning a skill can actually project you in good light, not just for better employment in Nigeria, but also internationally? The informal sector in Nigeria contributes more than 60% to the growth of the economy. And those that are made up of that sector are carpenters, bricklayers, and what have you, even your plumber who lives around the corner. But what the Nigerian government is doing through the National Board for Technical Education is to harness the potentials of more Nigerian youth and make sure they are properly certified. Thanks for staying with us. You're still watching Skill for You with Patience, and we're still talking with people from the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, the LSETF. So far, we've talked about the many things they are doing to ensure that residents of Lagos State are gainfully employed and doing something positive. All right, so Oyin, before we took that break, I did ask who could benefit and how can you be a beneficiary? What does it require, really? Quickly.
Okay, very quickly. Anybody can benefit, but there are some of our programs that have certain restrictions.
Okay.
Like for the employability programs, it's largely targeted at the youth, 18 to 35 years old. And this is on the basis of the theory of change we've developed in partnership with other funders like USADF, UNDP, GIZ, King's Trust International. However, notwithstanding that, that's the only restriction on that end and on one of our loan programs. Okay. But with every other program, it's essentially free to attend or to apply for. As long as I think that one of the key things that you need to have is that LASRA ID, because we need to be sure that you're a resident of Lagos State.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
yes.
So other than that, you're good to go.
Other than that, you're good to go. But always make sure that the quality of your application is good, because some people may not take it as seriously as others. And when they don't get in, some people may feel discouraged. But we always want to say that make sure you give it your best, even though it is simple to apply for. Give it your best, and then you'll get into the program. And there's some that are even just free to attend, like our business support sessions. Literally, the online sessions are free. We're even looking for more and more people to engage on those
So how do you
sessions.
get more information about the LSETF?
Okay.
Where do you apply online?
Yeah, so online, you can go to our website, lsetf.ng. We're very active on social media as well. So if you go to Instagram and LinkedIn, those are my favorite channels to engage on. Instagram and LinkedIn, you get like day-to-day feedback on everything that's going on at LSETF. Those are the primary areas of collection. But if you want to apply for a loan, there's a website, there's a portal link for that, which you can get from our website as well. But it is loans.lsetf.ng. For employability programs, we do share a lot of information through our channels. They are available to the public. We also have a presence physically at 28 local government areas and local council development areas in Lagos State, spread across the state. So if you may not be tech savvy, you may not have access to the internet, you can walk into a liaison office.
Go to the local government.
Your closest local government area, go to liaison office. You go to the local government office, you probably find a liaison office there. Even if it's not at the office itself, it is very close to it. So you would always find us within the state. We're accessible.
That's good to know because
Yes.
not everybody is online as much as the whole world is unlikely. All right, I wish we can go on and on and on and
I
on.
wish so
but
too.
I think with these few points of ours, we have been able to convince you guys and not confuse you that learning a skill is the way to go. And of course, the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund is there waiting to assist you on this journey. Many thanks to our guest today, Oyin Egbeyemi, who is Director of Programs and Coordination at the LSETF. Thank you, Oyin, for coming through.
Thank you very much for having us.
You're welcome. And all right, so that is it. If you are a resident of Lagos State, do tap into this opportunity, okay? Especially if you're there, you just about to get started on your skill acquisition or vocational training journey. All right, do it in partnership with the LSETF. They will guide you through, with everything you need, all the resources, all the information, and even the funding. All right. So it's a win-win situation for you. Don't forget that in today's world, having a college degree is no longer enough. You must learn a skill. Okay. That is the new order. In case you missed the memo. Thank you again for watching the show. Don't forget, this is a production of the HTA Media Group, and we hope you come in and do business with us. You want to learn a skill, the HTA Academy, it's the place to be. All of the information will be on the screen. Hope to see you next time. Bye for now.